I'm Evelyn Perry. I'm from Toronto, Canada, and I'm with Spin at the Minnesota Fringe.
And what inspired you to do Spin?
My love of bicycles inspired me to begin doing some research about the history of cycling, and in particular women in cycling. And I also have a real love of, I'm inspired as an artist by advertising a lot and how ridiculous some of it is. And so I had this notion, I'm a wordsmith and I'd like to play with language, and I had this notion that Spin would be a good title that could contain some material about cycling and some material about advertising. And then as I started to research, I started to find actually how the two were historically deeply connected. And I felt like I'd found a gold mine, and I started to write characters and songs based around this theme.
And that became the show.
And that became the show.
So, do you think there's a connection between capitalism and feminism then?
Well, what I think is, I mean, everything's connected, right? And that, right, in a certain way, I think is if there's a moral of my show, and I don't think there really is a moral, but the notion of like the image of the wheel as a spoke, or the spokes as a wheel, together making a wheel, is like our world is made up of all these different things that support each other and at the same time sometimes contradict each other, right? So there's this way that's interesting about the bicycle, which we want to believe is this like symbol of all things good, and actually has these connections to some things, you know, maybe not so good, or some interesting, like that it's just as subject to spin as anything else, right? That the bicycle actually in the 1890s was heavily marketed in a way that was all about, you know, just in a way that we now would look at maybe as like, oh, it's kind of gross to market things that way. But the bicycle was a part of that machine that became the advertising industry as we know it. Actually, the bike was the first luxury item to be mass marketed in the world. So.
Cool.
These weird little connections, right? So I didn't exactly answer are feminism and capitalism connected, but they are connected in as much as we live under a capitalist system at this time in history, and we are struggling to make meaning out of feminism, I think, in this moment in time, and how it still applies and still has meaning.
Okay, anything that you cut out that you want to say right now? That
I cut out of the show?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was actually, like, the show's actually an hour and a half long, and so this is the condensed version. So one of the significant things I cut out of the show is the story of Igor Kenk, who is he's a notorious bicycle thief in Toronto who actually recently got busted and was found with a warehouse of more than 2,000 stolen bikes. And after he went to prison, bike theft in Toronto fell by 25%. He's quite an interesting character, and so the show takes a more personal, the elongated show that you won't see at the Fringe, takes this personal twist where I write a song that's to Igor, a sort of an open letter to Igor Kenk, bicycle thief, and then tell a personal story of my own about my own bike that was stolen by Igor, and what that bike meant to me, and why a bike really holds our own personal history, or how I feel that a bike holds my own personal history.
Okay, great. Any last words?
Hope that you can make it out to see the show. We're loving the Ritz Theater. It's really a lovely venue here. And Minnesota's great. And I just rode the Nice Ride cycles today, and they're super awesome.
Great. Okay, let me get a nice long shot of you holding your t-shirt.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
You got the front.
There. Okay.
And we got the back view.
There you go. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, sorry, I'm Mira Amal with Albahira Dance Theater. We're doing Always Take Your Celebrity Guests to Walmart and Other Adventures in Dance.
And this involves rhythmic clapping?
No, it's a Middle Eastern dance show. We're doing, it's Middle Eastern dance, also some contemporary dance fusion, and some other things. There's also some live music, some percussive vocalization, other things like that involved in the show as well.
Do they have Walmarts in the Middle East?
Not so much, but the show title comes from, there was one of the most famous dancers and film stars from Egypt who comes to the U.S. about once a year, and when she does, she likes us to take her to Walmart, so...
What does she get?
She just, she stocks up on some staples, things like, Equal and underwear and...
Things you can't get in the Middle East in quite the same way.
Yeah, things you can't buy in bulk as easily there, that she just, she likes to get them in bulk and take them home, and, so, yeah, she
Okay,
just...
and so...
Vitamins, simple things.
How does that inspire the show?
Well, she actually is just an inspirational dancer, and we enjoyed her, plus it was just, I don't know that I'd say necessarily that inspired the show, but we use the Walmart idea as a little bit of a framework for some things in the show. It inspires a piece or two in the show. More than anything, it was just it's the title, and there's a couple things that relate to the title. There's a lot of it though. It's an eclectic show. There's some fun sort of populist type dances, and then there's some really it's a very eclectic show. There's a lot of different types of dance, different themes, some really beautiful things, some very funny things. It's interesting. You should come see it.
My name is Erin Daly. I'm from Andover, Minnesota. I go to Cornell College, and that's how I met Mark Hunter.
And how do you pronounce the name of your show?
It's pronounced Blatherwith.
Blatherwith.
Yes.
So the D's are THs.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and so is this a standard Celtic myth or Welsh myth?
That's what I've been told. Apparently it's pretty well known. I'd never heard of it before, though.
Well, what attracted you to it?
Well, it was actually part of a larger project that my director, Mark Hunter, he wrote and readapted the myth for me to perform at Cornell College.
Okay, and did you learn anything about yourself doing this?
Definitely. It was probably the greatest acting challenge I've taken on so far, and so I sort of learned what I could do and how I could stretch myself to sort of accommodate the needs of the piece.
Okay, and what do you think people should bring out of it?
Well, overall, I think it's most greatly a piece about empowerment and sort of how to achieve your own sense of empowerment.
Hello, I'm Mahmoud Halima.
And what show are you doing here?
I'm doing a show called Can Michael Come Out and Play here at the Playwright Center.
And briefly describe that.
Yeah, certainly. It's a show that details how having the name Mahmoud has led to assumptions and stereotypes and, crazy beliefs, and how I had to eventually come to terms with that name. Like, I didn't like it at first, but after I learned my story, I came to like the name and to embrace the name. So you'll learn what my name means, where it comes from, and why I don't want to lose it.
Is the response to your name different in Minneapolis than in Alabama?
No, actually, it's all across the board. Mahmoud is a pretty atypical name in this part of the world, so response has been pretty much the same. Like, of course, people have trouble pronouncing it, trouble spelling it. They think that I'm Muslim or I'm not from around here, or
Okay, well, this will be after your show. What does it mean?
What does it mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It means one who's worthy of praise.
That's cool.
Yeah. A lot to live up to, of course.
And how did you acquire it?
My parents, my mother and my father are two different stories. My father says it was given to me because of just based on what it means, worthy of praise. My mother says that before I was born, a few months before I was born, she met a boy named Mahmoud, and he was polite, well-behaved, that she gave me the same name, hoping that I would follow in his footsteps. I'm trying to, so far.
Okay, well, does having people respond to your name, does that inform how you respond to other people?
Yes. I'm personally, I'm fascinated by how other people got their names, like their story behind it, and I definitely, I always make sure to try to make sure I'm pronouncing it right or spelling it right, because I know how it feels, to have someone, believe something about you that's completely not true, just by an assumption, immediate, just immediate assumption. So I try to do my best to try to make sure that I know the truth. If you saw this show, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. I hope to be doing more stuff next year or within a month or so. So you can look me up on Facebook, Mahmoud Halima. Because I use Facebook for the social network just to let people know when I'm doing shows. So look me up on there. You can see what I'm up to.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.